The first rays of morning sun were playfully mischievous. They snuck in through the gaps in the curtains like nimble little sprites. They bounced and frolicked on the extravagant, 4-meter-wide bed. They seemed eager to wake the person who was sound asleep on it. Just then, a unique and piercing alarm clock sound suddenly rang out, shattering the tranquil and languid atmosphere of the room. It wasn't an ordinary alarm clock ring, but a sound from the cute wake-up artifact I had specially customized. It looked like a fluffy pink pig with a small, delicate electronic screen embedded in its round belly. Its ears were cleverly designed as bells, and whenever the alarm sounded, the ears would swing merrily to the rhythm, just like a passionate drummer on stage. At the moment, it was standing by the pillow, singing at the top of its lungs, playing a comical cartoon sound effect. First, there was a cacophony of simulated clucking chickens and barking dogs, followed by a childish voice shouting, "The sun's on your bum, you big lazybones, get up now. If you don't get up, the magic broom will come and sweep you away." The sound echoed through the room, and it would be hard for anyone to continue sleeping. The person on the bed, my wifely Mayu, stirred. Her alabaster white arm, like solidified cream, slowly reached out from under the silk duvet, with the unique languor and impatience of someone just waking up. She raised her hand and with a smack, accurately hit the pig alarm clock on its head. The alarm clock, which was joyfully clamoring, instantly fell silent, its ears drooping down like a wronged little thing, suppressed by the pillow. Li Meiyu was still lying on the bed. Her figure was simply exquisite, her curves as graceful as the most alluring crescent moon in the quiet night sky. The quilt had slipped down a little, revealing her beautifully shaped shoulders, her skin as white as snow, gleaming with a soft luster under the gentle caress of the sunlight. Looking down, there were her long, straight legs, casually crossed, peeking out from under her nightgown hem, like two pillars of mutton-fat jade, exuding endless temptation. Her waist was so slender that it seemed one could grasp it with a single hand, following the smooth line of her spine down to her perfectly rounded hips. Such an exquisite body proportion. Even the most skilled painter in the world would find it difficult to depict. Seeing her like this, I tiptoed to the bedside, leaned over, and gently whispered, "Mayu, it's time to get up. There are still a lot of things waiting for you at the company." As soon as the words left my mouth, she suddenly opened her eyes, her originally drowsy gaze instantly becoming sharp as an eagle. Before I could react, she reached out and grabbed my collar, and with a little force, pulled me closer, so close I could see every one of her long eyelashes, and feel her warm breath on my face. "Waking me up so early, are you itching for a beating?" She opened her cherry lips, her words carrying the spoiled petulance and dominance of someone waking up. "But since you've disturbed my sweet dreams, you have to compensate me. Come on, do some morning exercises with me again." With that, she smirked, a mischievous smile playing on her lips, her arm tightening slightly, pulling me even closer. My head went buzz, like I'd been struck by a thunderbolt. My face instantly flushed red, and my heart began to race uncontrollably. I was like a startled deer, frantically using my hands and feet, doing my utmost to break free from her shackles, retreating several steps, and putting some distance between myself and the bed. Seeing me fleeing in disarray like this, her eyebrows furrowed, her originally lively and affectionate eyes now filled with anger, her gaze as sharp as a blade in the cold night, piercing straight at me. Then, her eyebrows shot up, and she said sternly, "You spineless coward. Why are you running? This isn't over today. At the company, I'm going to make you clean the company bathrooms so you can learn a lesson." My heart sank. I knew her temper well, and that she always meant what she said. Don't let her current spoiled behavior fool you. Once she's at the company, she's a decisive and uncompromising powerhouse of a female boss. Speaking of our relationship, in the eyes of others, it's full of speculation and envy. Li Meiyu, she's the captain of the company, young, and with her extraordinary courage and keen business acumen, she has carved out a niche for herself in the fiercely competitive business world. She has transformed a small workshop-sized company into a well-known giant enterprise within the industry in just a few years. Of course, the biggest reason behind all of this is that she has a multi-billionaire father with hundreds of billions in assets. Once something goes wrong, he can always help her bail her out immediately. As for me, I accidentally entered the company and worked my way up to the position of vice president, earning an annual salary of millions, seemingly living an unlimited life with a promising future in the eyes of outsiders. Well, there's another reason too. Li Meiyu and I were classmates in college, and we were in a relationship when we were at school. No matter what achievements I make at the company, Li Meiyu can give me a huge boost. allowing me to become the most outstanding young talent in the company. However, I also know very well that there are a lot of sweet burdens behind this vice president title. At the company, Lee Mei-yu is very clear about separating work from personal life, and she is extremely strict with me at work. If I make even a tiny mistake, she showers me with a torrent of criticism, revising proposals again and again, holding meeting after meeting. Everyone thinks I'm a pushover, often casting looks of either sympathy or schadenfreude my way. I remember one time, in order to secure a crucial project, my team and I worked day and night for several weeks, doing all the necessary preparations, thinking we were sure to win. But unexpectedly, during the final proposal meeting, the client still found some minor flaws in the details. After the project was over, Lee Mei-yu called me in her office, her eyes so cold they could freeze a person, and scolded me harshly. "What are you doing? You can't even handle such small problems. Do you know how important this project is to the company? If you mess it up because of your mistakes, can you take responsibility for it?" The atmosphere in the office at that time was so low that it was suffocating. I lowered my head, like a schoolchild who had made a mistake, not daring to breathe, and could only listen silently to her scolding, feeling very wronged in my heart. Of course, she would still clean up my mess afterward. She would organize a large number of elites to help me improve the proposal, earning the client's constant praise. Who would have thought that the cold and strict female demon boss in the company is actually my charming and adorable wife in private? Back home, she'd shed that rigid armor and nestle in my arms, acting spoiled and clingy, pestering me to watch those cheesy romantic dramas. At touching moments, she'd cry buckets, using my sleeves as tissues. It would make my chest ache, especially knowing even our pajamas were designer brands worth tens of thousands. She'd also put on an apron and tinker in the kitchen for ages, just to make me a table of colorful, fragrant, and delicious dishes. Although she might occasionally turn the kitchen into a battlefield, the aroma of home-cooked food that filled the house was the best testament to our sweet life. Usually, when colleagues saw us going in and out of the company together, they couldn't help but whisper, gossip flying everywhere. Some speculated I'd climbed the corporate ladder, using underhanded means to become the vice president, while others were convinced I had a shady affair with Lee Mei-yu, and the murmur of their gossip often reached my ears. At first, I'd feel resentful about these baseless conjectures, but over time, I'd become indifferent. After all, the love between my wife and I was rock solid. Those rumors were just trivial gossip for others to pass the time. Now, looking at Lee Mei-yu on the bed, still pouting, I sighed helplessly and coaxed with a smile. "My dear wife, calm down. It's my fault. I shouldn't have woken you up so early. But the company really has an emergency, and there's an important meeting with partners today. If you don't go, this matter will be difficult to handle." She rolled her eyes, sat up, her nightgown slipping to reveal her fair shoulder. She reached up to tidy her messy hair and said grumpily, "Humph, you're always right. Fine, for the sake of the company, I'll let you off this time. What are you still standing there for? Go prepare my breakfast. If it doesn't suit my taste, I'll still punish you at work." I quickly nodded in agreement, turned and briskly walked towards the kitchen, thinking to myself, today will probably be another day spent under my wife's carrot and stick management. But this life, with both bitterness and sweetness, has its own special charm. After washing up, Lee Mei-yu walked out of the bathroom unhurriedly, already dressed in a sharp business suit. The tailored blazer made her waist look even more slender. Underneath her short skirt, her legs were wrapped in black stockings, straight and long, with red high heels on her feet. Each step sounded like it was on a drumbeat, clear and powerful, showcasing the heroic spirit of a career woman. She walked to the dining table, glanced at the breakfast I had carefully prepared, and gave a light snort, barely passable. "What do you mean, barely passable? I specifically went to a star-rated hotel and learned to cook from a star-rated chef just to cater to her tastes. All to please her and save myself some trouble." Lee Mei-yu sat down elegantly, picked up her knife and fork, and began to eat slowly and methodically. I sat opposite her, watching her demeanor, and the corners of my mouth involuntarily curved upward, teasing, "My dear wife, you need to pay attention to your table manners. If the company employees were to see you like an elegant princess right now, they'd probably not recognize you." She rolled her eyes at me, swallowed the food in her mouth, and scolded, "Stop your nonsense. Eat up and leave quickly. If you're late, don't blame me for being heartless." My wife Lee Mei-yu left our warm little home first. I quickly tidied up afterwards, then drove to the company. The moment I stepped into the company building, wow, Lee Mei-yu appeared as if she'd transformed into a different person. Her face was cold and aloof, her pace hurried, exuding a powerful aura that kept people at a distance. At this moment, several vice presidents were with her, all together in the ground floor lobby. As she passed by employees, They bowed their heads to greet her, and she'd simply give a slight nod in response. Finally, when her gaze landed on me, she paused slightly. Helpless, I could only stand there obediently, waiting for her sentence. No, waiting for her to speak. Vice President Liang, you'll be 3 minutes late, she said with a stern face. Well, I'm not late yet, I replied softly. Can't you just come 5 minutes early every day? Li Meiyu's sharp gaze bore into me, as if trying to see right through me. My heart skipped a beat, full of helplessness. But on my face, I had to pretend to be as natural as possible. I understood in my heart that this woman clearly wasn't genuinely seeking an answer. She just wanted to mess with me and toy with me. I'll try my best. I can't guarantee I'll be able to do it, but I'll definitely try to be on time, I said cautiously. Very good, very good. Li Meiyu's face remained cold. She beckoned with her finger, signaling me to follow. We vice presidents accompanied her into the private elevator, heading to the top floor. In the elevator, the other vice presidents were extremely nervous, standing next to her and barely daring to breathe, as if walking on thin ice. After I stepped into the elevator, I shrugged my shoulders and casually adjusted my collar. Li Meiyu noticed this small gesture, and her eyes widened with surprise as she turned to look at me. The expression on my face immediately froze, and I forced a rather awkward smile. Li Meiyu seemed to be pondering something, and said, Vice President Liang, come to my office. I have something to ask you. I still have to arrange things for my subordinates, I quickly explained. Okay then, once you've arranged everything, come to my office. I'll wait for you. Her voice trailed off on that last sentence. I'll wait for you. These 3 words were like a bell ringing in my ears, over and over again. The other vice presidents looked at me with a hint of gloating. Helpless, I nodded and said, Okay, I'll try to be as quick as possible. Men shouldn't say quick, they should say they can persevere, Li Meiyu suddenly blurted out, nearly causing me to spit blood. I stared at her dumbfounded as the elevator stopped. She raised her fair neck high, her chest puffed out, looking haughty as she strode out. Persevere, persevere what? I couldn't help but mutter in my heart after she had left. The other vice presidents all stared at me, their gazes as if they were looking at some rare object, like some monster, making my heart palpitate and shocking me. I quickly walked out of the elevator second. Seeing that I had left, Vice President Liu whispered, Vice President Liang and the boss, they couldn't be really living together, could they? Vice President Li followed up. Isn't it obvious? It's just that it hasn't been openly acknowledged. This General Liang, we can't afford to offend him. We really can't. Nonsense offending the boss's boyfriend. Do you have the guts? The logistics department's General Ma said with a wry smile. He's in the logistics department and usually deals with me the most. At first, he looked down on me, thinking I just got lucky to be in this high position. Now, he understands. A subordinate of a beautiful boss, able to be in a high position, yet not qualified, the greatest possibility is not luck, but skill. Yes, my skills are truly masterful, reaching an unfathomable level. I leisurely walked into the deputy general manager's office, plopping my butt onto the office chair. The chair made a creak sound, as if protesting the busy energy I brought first thing this morning. I faced the door, waved my hand, and yelled, All right, everyone, quickly get in here. We need to properly arrange today's work. As soon as I finished speaking, a few subordinates walked in one after another. Some had energetic faces, their eyes bright, looking like they were ready to go all out. Others, on the other hand, still had a little bit of morning grogginess, their eyes half open, as if sleepwalking. Looking at their appearances, I grinned and teased. Hey, comrades, the new day's battle has begun. Wake up. Don't be confused. At this time, the beautiful secretary, Xiao Yu, carrying a large stack of documents, walked gracefully to my desk. She put the documents down with a thud, blinked her big eyes, and said with a playful look, General Liang, you're more anxious than us first thing this morning. What's up? Didn't sleep well last night? Did some little enchantress teach you a lesson in bed? Her words exploded like a firecracker, and the surrounding colleagues held back their laughter, their shoulders shaking, while secretly glancing at me, wanting to see my reaction. I deliberately put on a stern face, pretending to be annoyed. I raised my pen and pointed it at her a few times in the air, saying, Xiao Yu, with that mouth of yours, it's a waste you don't do stand-up comedy. You're always making fun of me. I'm wholeheartedly focused on work, racking my brains for our revolutionary cause. Do you understand? Also, what little enchantress? That's our company's big demon, the female demon. If she hears you say that, she'll skin you alive. When Secretary Xiao Yu heard this, she was stunned, her eyes widened, muttering, Big demon, female demon, and she'll skin me? Her face was full of fear, like a startled little rabbit, and she added, Oh my. Still unconvinced, she whispered. Boss, you're saying. I gave her a look that said, you know, we all know, and continued arranging work. I cleared my throat and opened the files on the table, seriously assigning tasks. Xiao Zhang, the project you're following up on, today you need to confirm the details with the partners again. If there's even a slight change, tell me immediately, don't mess anything up. If everything goes smoothly, I'll treat you to a big meal on the weekend as a reward. Hearing this, Xiao Zhang's eyes lit up, like two light bulbs, nodding like a chicken pecking at rice, hurriedly replying, General Liang, rest assured, I will keep a close watch. There will be absolutely no mistakes. Xiao Wang, you can't keep dragging your feet with the data statistics and analysis either. You can't move like a snail. I need to see the complete report in 3 days. Understand? Xiao Wang had a bitter face, but with a hint of anticipation, replying, Okay, General Liang, I'll rev up the engine and get it done quickly. And Xiaoli, I went through the work one by one, carefully arranging everything. After assigning all the important tasks and giving instructions for the daily miscellaneous tasks, everyone took their assignments and quickly scattered. The office area immediately became lively again, filled with the sounds of typing and discussion, like an efficiently operating little beehive. I stretched my back and looked at the clock on the wall. Oh my, it's already 9:30 in the morning. Then I suddenly slapped my forehead, remembering that I had to report to the queen. The boss, Li Meiyu. I slowly stood up, reached out to straighten my clothes, and dragged my lazy, slow steps, muttering, This storm is probably unavoidable. Muttering to himself, he sauntered towards the boss's office. I slowly ambled to the door of Li Meiyu's office, raised my hand, and lightly knocked a few times. There was no response, so I pushed open the door and walked in. As soon as I entered, good heavens, I saw Li Meiyu half squatting in front of the filing cabinet. Her pose, with her back to me, her whole body bent low, her rear sticking up high. She was engrossed in rummaging through the files in the cabinet. The professional suit she was wearing today was already form-fitting, and in this position, the curves of her rounded buttocks were even more pronounced. My head grew hot, and inexplicably, my feet walked towards her of their own accord. Before she could react, with a slap, my hand landed squarely on Li Meiyu's buttock. Instantly, the air seemed to freeze, eerily silent. Li Meiyu, clutching a file in her hand, stiffened, then, like a spring being triggered, turned around to look at me, terrified. Her eyes were full of shock and anger, like a lioness who had been provoked for no reason, looking like she was about to explode. Startled by her glare, I suddenly came to my senses, my heart dropped, and I thought to myself, this is bad. In a panic, I twisted my head to look in the direction of her gaze. And what I saw was a mess. In the corner of the office, her female secretary, Yali, was standing trembling, like a sapling swaying in a strong wind. Yali's face was pale. Beads of sweat were rolling down her forehead, sliding down her cheeks, and her shoulders were trembling slightly. She was obviously very frightened by this sudden situation. The pressure on her was probably heavier than carrying a mountain. Seeing this scene, I panicked too. My hands and feet didn't know where to go. My face flushed. I was so embarrassed that I wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. I regretted my impulsive actions with all my heart. Li Meiyu didn't give me any time to buffer. She immediately exploded, her eyebrows arched, her eyes wide, and she yelled at the top of her voice, Liang Youfu, get out of here. Today you're going to clean the toilets. All the toilets on the 28th floor. They're all yours to clean. Let the cleaning lady have a day off, and you can reflect on your ridiculous behavior. I lowered my head, feeling helpless, and could only spread my arms, and with a bitter face replied, Okay. I had no choice but to agree. After all, I had really angered this person. Li Meiyu could very well strip me of my position as deputy general manager. And at that time, I wouldn't be able to resign from ZU Technology because this woman was my wife. I lowered my head and walked out of the boss's office, dejected. The boss's assistant, Ellie, saw me come out so quickly, and she laughed with such joy. She practically fell on her desk, laughing so hard that her body was shaking and she couldn't even straighten up. General Manager Liang, did you get punished to clean the toilets for a day again? Ellie asked me, trying to suppress her laughter. Was she a worm in Li Meiyu's stomach? How could she have guessed correctly? I helplessly shrugged my shoulders, muttering, This woman, she really needs to be dealt with, always thinking she's so great, and that she's the biggest deal here. Everyone has to go along with her. Upon hearing this, Ellie chuckled and said, Aren't you talking nonsense? She's the boss of ZU Technology. On this small piece of land. If she's not the biggest, then who is? Ellie's words left me speechless. I couldn't say a word. I could only awkwardly grin and slink out of the office area, heading towards the restrooms at the end of the hallway. The 28th floor is where the upper management of ZU Technology works. There are two restrooms here. I first headed towards one of them. My colleague, Xiao Wang, was in the washroom. He saw me push the door open and walk straight towards the corner. He was first stunned and then burst into laughter, teasing me. General Manager Liang, you're really blessed. You've been punished by the boss again. I glared at him fiercely and said, annoyed, don't look at me and laugh. Be careful I trip you up. Xiao Wang waved his hand indifferently and said with a smile, you're not that kind of person. I'm not, but it doesn't mean that others aren't. If you laugh at me and end up making others dissatisfied with you, don't blame me. When Xiao Wang heard this, the smile on his face immediately froze. He quickly nodded at me repeatedly, then took off running out of the washroom like his feet had been greased. I saw the out-of-order sign on the women's restroom and walked over and knocked on the door. Come in, came a soft voice, followed by a woman complaining, damn, this isn't my house. What do I need you to come in for? To watch me go to the toilet? The expression on my face changed slightly. Being teased by the cleaning lady like that, my face flushed red. I didn't even dare to go inside. I took a deep breath and walked into the women's restroom with trepidation. I immediately saw the cleaning lady. Wow. Although she was over 40 years old, this woman's appearance, her figure, it was simply amazing. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call her stunning, with the beauty of a woman who can make fish sink and birds fall from the sky. The cleaning lady saw me come to help clean the restroom, and that I was also busy deodorizing the toilets. She immediately burst into laughter and joked, General Manager Liang, how come you, a big boss, have come to do this kind of work? Did the boss make you suffer? I sighed helplessly and didn't say anything. She continued to talk to herself. I think that since you've been demoted to cleaning the toilets, you might as well quit. Being bullied by a woman, even if it's your girlfriend, is a bit shameful. You might as well go out and try again, start a business, and maybe you can achieve great things. I rolled my eyes at her and said, Annie, don't talk nonsense. No matter what, I'm still a deputy general manager in the company. I wouldn't dare say that I'm second only to one, but apart from the boss, there are not many people who can suppress me. What's more, being bullied by my own woman, what's so big deal about it? The cleaning lady moved closer to me and said mysteriously, I'm telling you, as long as you resign and marry me, I'll give you half of my 10 demolished houses. Think about it, those 5 houses are worth 50 million. With 50 million and a loan of another 50 million, it wouldn't be difficult to reach 100 million, right? That way, you would have your startup capital, and then we could work as a team. I opened my eyes wide. I couldn't believe my ears and said with a wry smile, Annie, what are you thinking? Not to mention my woman is richer than you. Don't you have a husband yourself? How can you say such a thing? The cleaning lady waved her hand dismissively and laughed. It's different, absolutely different. The boss's money is the boss's money. I have money. If you marry me, it'll all be yours. Besides, look at how pretty I am. Why would I be doing cleaning at ZU Technology? Could it be because of me? I was taken aback. It's because I'm uneducated, I don't have a degree, and I'm older. Even if I wanted to work at the front desk, the company wouldn't hire me. But I didn't want to just stay at home all day, so I could only come to ZU Technology as a cleaner. The cleaning lady's words left me even more dumbfounded. At 11 in the morning, with the help of the cleaning lady, I finally managed to clean both restrooms on the 28th floor, making them spotless and gleaming. During the cleaning, it was quite lively, with many colleagues coming to use the restroom and their reactions being incredibly varied. Some colleagues, upon seeing me cleaning, immediately seemed to have their funny bone tickled, laughing so hard they couldn't stand straight, bending over, clutching their stomachs, and shouting in pain, as if they'd witnessed some hilariously rare comedy show. Others were too scared to breathe, glancing at me furtively, as if they were thieves, quickly lowering their heads and tiptoeing along the wall, afraid I might get angry and lash out at them. Yet another group of colleagues, especially the female ones, loved to tease me, surrounding me like a flock of cheerful birds, chattering nonstop and firing questions like machine guns. One female colleague, her eyes sparkling with mischief, teased me, President Liang, you personally cleaning the toilets is so down to earth. Do you think you can dig up some great treasure in there? I rolled my eyes at her, annoyed, and retorted, I haven't seen any treasure. Do you want some yellow and white stuff? Another female colleague covered her mouth, her shoulders shaking with laughter, and said, President Liang, look at you, so handsome and dashing, with looks that could rival Panin. How did you end up cleaning toilets? Did you accidentally offend our beautiful boss? I deliberately put on a profound look, sighed heavily, and said, Oh, it's a complicated matter, like the waters of the Yangtze and Yellow rivers, flowing endlessly. It can't be explained in a moment. Stop teasing me. I'm suffering inside. That woman is so ruthless. She uses me like a coolie, like she's bossing around a puppy. Doesn't she think I'll settle the score with her later? As I spoke, I actually felt a pang of sadness in my heart. Back when Lee Meiyu and I were in school, we were a campus belle and beau duo. Our looks were a beautiful sight on campus. Our romance was all over school. It was the biggest news at the time. Who would have thought that now, in this company, I would be so utterly managed by her, working as a cleaning ambassador in the toilets? Life is really unpredictable, like a 30-year turn of the river. The wheel of fortune has me completely disoriented. Oh, hearing President Liang's tone, it seems like your relationship with the boss is not ordinary. A female colleague keenly caught the meaning in my words. I looked up at the female colleague who was teasing me and calmly said, "We share the same bed, and I can even influence her thoughts in her sleep. Are you scared?" Upon hearing this, several female colleagues playfully stuck out their tongues, winking at each other and giggling as they went to use the restroom. This feeling is really very telling. As dusk fell, Lee Meiyu and I, who had been busy all day, returned to our cozy villa in the suburbs, one after the other, as usual. I dragged my somewhat tired body into the villa's living room and heard melodious singing coming from upstairs. Without a doubt, it was my dear wife, Lee Meiyu, happily singing on the second floor. At this moment, the housekeeper, Aunt Lee, was cleaning the living room on the first floor. When she saw me come in, she gave me a meaningful look. I shrugged helplessly and headed straight for the second floor. As soon as I stepped onto the second floor, I was stunned by the scene before me. Lee Meiyu was wearing a pink off-the-shoulder mini dress, the hem of the skirt playfully swaying above her knees, her fair legs partly visible under the skirt. Her long, black, lustrous hair was casually draped over her shoulders, with a few strands falling on either side of her face, making her even more delicate, like a heroine straight out of a youthful manga. Her face was radiant with a bright smile, and her appearance had none of the demeanor of a resolute female boss she showed during the day. She was in the middle of singing when she saw me come in, her eyes lit up, and without a word, she pounced on me like a happy deer. I quickly reached out and caught her, and she jumped onto me, her arms wrapping tightly around my neck. Her intimacy made me feel a bit flattered. Then, she began her spoiled, pleading for forgiveness mode, her voice soft and drawn out, saying, "Darling, I was wrong at the company during the day. Please forgive me, okay? I'm a big boss. I need to save face, both inside and out." I retorted angrily, "You need it, but I don't. You're a man. Is it embarrassing to be bullied by a woman? Especially when it's by a big boss like me, who is also incredibly beautiful?" I was speechless. Indeed, being bullied by a beautiful boss and a boss with tens of billions in net worth. What did I have to complain about? Moreover, as President Liang, I earn $1 million annual salary. At this moment, Lee Meiyu was hugging my neck and swaying back and forth. "Look, I've already taken the initiative to admit my mistake. If you still don't forgive me, I'll be so heartbroken." Her tone made goosebumps rise all over me, almost making me throw up the previous night's dinner. As I was torn between laughter and tears, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that Aunt Lee had closed the living room door on the first floor and even locked it. My heart skipped a beat, and I felt that something about this scene was not quite right. What did closing the door mean? Was she planning to beat the dog behind closed doors? This was intolerable. While I was having all these wild thoughts, my hand seemed to have a mind of its own and couldn't resist patting Lee Meiyu's round, plump bottom again hard. The smack sound was particularly loud on the quiet second floor. Lee Meiyu was stunned. Her eyes instantly welled up with tears. Her big, watery eyes were full of grievance, and her little mouth drooped, giving her such a pitiful look that I felt a pang in my heart. My emotions surged uncontrollably. I directly scooped the woman up with one hand, like uprooting a tree, performing a willow uprooted. I put the woman head down across my back and strode up to the third floor. "Since you showed me no mercy during the day, why should I show you mercy at night?" Thump, thump, thump. I ascended to the third floor and bellowed a line from the Peking opera Lu Zhishan uproots the willow tree. "Don't blame me for showing off my strength today. Who told you to act so tough during the day?" The morning light first shone, the playful sunlight once again piercing through the gaps in the curtains, spreading wantonly in the bedroom as if urging the person in bed to awaken quickly. Such perfect body proportions, even the most skilled painter in the world would find it difficult to outline. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Suddenly, a clear and loud rooster crow broke the morning silence. This was no ordinary rooster crow, but my specially set phone alarm. The sound of this alarm was incredibly realistic, as if a proud rooster were singing loudly right next to the bed. Lee Meiyu moved slightly, her brow furrowed, seemingly disturbed by this rooster crow, even in her dreams. I saw her groggily reach out, fumbling on the bedside table, finally grabbing her phone, and with a quick press, the rooster instantly went silent. She rolled over, burying her face in the soft pillow, continuing to sleep soundly. The quilt was also tossed askew, revealing her smooth and delicate bare shoulder, a few strands of hair scattered messily on it, adding a touch of languid charm. Looking at her like this, I couldn't help but recall everything from last night, and a sense of revenge welled up in my heart. I quietly got out of bed, tiptoed out of the bedroom, and soon returned holding a glass of cold water. I stood by the bed, watching her with a mischievous smile, slowly tilting the glass, a drop of cold water lightly landing on the tip of her nose. Her nose twitched slightly, and then another drop landed on her cheek. She hummed softly, slowly opening her eyes, looking at me sleepily, her eyes still carrying a hint of confusion and annoyance. "What are you doing?" Her voice was husky and coquettish from just waking up. I smiled and said, "Honey, the sun is shining on your butt. Aren't you going to get up, you little sleepyhead?" She rolled her eyes at me, muttering, "Can't you let me sleep a little longer?" Finishing, she wanted to close her eyes and continue sleeping. I wouldn't let her off so easily. I put the glass of water aside, grabbed a corner of the quilt with both hands, and forcefully threw it off. "Wow, look at you like a little pig. Aren't you going to get up and go to work?" She sat up abruptly, her hair a mess like a bird's nest, glaring at me and saying, "You bad guy, weren't you enough last night? Why are you provoking me again today?" I quickly begged for mercy. "My dear wife, I was wrong. It's just that I think you're so beautiful that I couldn't help but want to spend more time with you." She laughed, picked up the pillow next to her, and threw it at me. "You're just sweet-talking. Go prepare breakfast for me, and if it's not delicious, you'll be in trouble." I caught the pillow and said with a smile, "Yes, ma'am, my dear wife." Then I turned and walked out of the bedroom, thinking in my heart that these daily wake-up battles were a bit tiring, but they were also a different kind of fun in our lives, and maybe there would be new tricks tomorrow.